Yo, what is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to episode 7 of my Football Manager 2015 Arsenal playthrough. Hopefully you guys are good. Today I've got for you guys a slightly shorter episode, going to be a top of the table clash between ourselves and Manchester City. Quick look at the league table so you guys know exactly what's going on. You can see it here. Top of the league, 16 games played, 12 wins, 4 defeats. We are equal with Manchester City going into this game. It's going to be a winner takes all affair, with the winner kind of creating a bit of a cushion for themselves at the top of the table. Hopefully we can be the team to do that. It's going to be a tricky game, so I'm going to be live coming that game to begin this episode, and then for the second half of this episode I'm going to kind of do a mini halfway mark in the season, end of season, halfway through the season kind of review. I was about to say end of season review, but that will come in time. But this is going to be kind of 17 games in, a bit of a reflection, talking about my thoughts of the squad, the kind of general direction I'm going in, planning a bit for the future, going into maybe a few of the nitty-gritties with the trainings that I've been putting certain players on, why I've been doing it. So a little bit more of an informative video today, perhaps. So anyway, we'll get into today's video. We are at home to Manchester City today, so I'm quite hopeful that we can get a win. Unfortunately, of course, we did lose last game to Chelsea, which was pretty difficult to take. As a result, I'm going to kind of try and mix the squad up just a little bit. You can see here that our full strength team, in my opinion, is fully available to be selected today, which is quite nice. However, due to fitnesses, there's probably going to be a few players who I choose to rest here. The likes of Giroud probably need a rest. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to play Sanchez up front, and then we're going to move Raheem Sterling out onto the right, and then have Khedira out at right centre-back. My players just completely changed positions, but this is what we're going with. I'll just show you it. Visual representation. In fact, let's swap Wiltshire and Ozil round. This is how we're going to line up today. Fitness is a little bit of a concern on a few of these players, but hopefully it's not going to come back to bite us too much. Sanchez is going to be leading the line as our advance forward, but of course we have got the likes of Giroud on the bench, as well as Walcott, Welbeck. You know, there's plenty of options. Balanta is banned, of course. He got suspended, having got sent off in the last game against Chelsea in the Capital One Cup. So anyway, let's get into this game. It's going to be a tricky game. Of course, last time we met Manchester City was in the Community Shield final, where we drew 1-1 and ended up losing on penalties, which was tough to take. So hopefully we can kind of turn things around here. I'm going to tell the press that my lads have been up for it for a while. They've wanted to get revenge here. So I'm going to tell the players that I want them to avenge themselves for what happened last time we met Manchester City, where we were defeated at Wembley. Hopefully, touch wood, we can get a result here. To go 3 points clear at the top of the table, 17 games in, would be pretty unbelievable. Of course, our kind of season expectation is to challenge for the title. That is currently what we are on course to do, which is fantastic to be able to say. This is a kind of game that can differentiate us from being a title challenger to being a title potential winner, I think. But anyway, Aguero with a chance there. He didn't take it. Very uncharacteristic for him. 4 minutes in, however, Manchester City here with another chance. Headed away by Mertesacker and well defended in the end, and pumped out no-nonsense stuff there. However, Manchester City going to quickly recycle possession. Aguero finds himself with a few yards in our opposition box, but he can't do anything with it. A little bit of a let-off there. Looking at this right now, Manchester City looking by far and away the better side, and again we've been caught a little bit short at the back. Chesney there with a very, very good save. I'm immediately going to make a few tweaks here. I'm going to switch to a 4-3-3. I'm not confident at all in what I've just seen. I'm a little bit worried that we're going to get out kind of matched in midfield. As a result, I want to drop Khedira in. It's one of the blessings I have with, I guess, the current players in our side, is that we do have quite good flexibility when it comes to wanting to change our system kind of in this kind of situation. So that is exactly what we are going to do here. I'm going to have Ozil play kind of an advanced playmaker role, with Wiltshire holding a little bit deeper in behind. So we'll see how this works out for us. A little bit different, but I am just too paranoid of the kind of threat that Manchester City possess. And I kind of feel like playing the two centre mids, they're kind of getting outnumbered. I feel like a trio is going to perhaps provide us with a little bit more cover in front of our defence, because you can see here, I think it's David Silva is just finding himself with far too much space in between our midfield and defence. So dropping Khedira into that anchorman role, he's going to occupy that space, and already you can see it having an impact. Sanchez here on a run, fine effort. Hart with a very good save, but we have got back into this game now. You know, we're getting some chances. We're starting to break down the play a little bit more. You can see Silva highlighted here. Khedira is now kind of the right side of him to help deal with any threat. However, that is a missed tackle by Mertesacker, but Aguero will not punish us. So I have been experimenting with the 4-3-3 a little bit kind of off recordings. Obviously, the last few episodes, this is the 5th game in a row I've live commed in an episode. But prior to kind of doing these episodes, I had fiddled around with the potential of a 4-3-3 when the time was right. Sometimes the 4-2-3-1 just hasn't been working, and it's kind of been a nice way to work around that. As Sanchez scores, a great goal for him, his 8th of the season. Sterling with another assist to add to his name. Of course, he has been in fine form this year. He is lined up to potentially win the World Golden Ball, so that is good to see him get himself in the action and kind of get that assist there. Good start, good first half. Looking at the stats, fairly 50-50. We actually created a few more chances once we dropped that kind of Khedira into the space. It's worked very nicely for us. So we'll see how this goes. As I mentioned, I have got options on off the bench. This is our our third game in 6 days as Royce scores a free kick to make it 2-0. That is not the first time he has done that this year. 12 goals for another one of our new signings. That is fantastic stuff. And now we have a little bit of a cushion to work with, which is very pleasing to be able to say. So what I was just talking a little bit about was the fact that we're a little bit fatigued. Obviously, if we can go 3 goals up here, heaven forbid, it will mean that I can probably make a few changes. We've got another free kick here. Can Royce do it twice in a row? That would be incredible if he could. He's going to step up and try his utmost, I think. It's within range. He hits it. It's gone in. I'm not sure how it's gone in because it's bounced out, but he's hit it in off the post. What a goal. That is 2 free kick goals in 2 minutes for Marco Reus. You cannot contain him. And now we have another chance here. Sterling. Ozil scores. It's 4-0. Manchester City being absolutely demolished. We are dominating the set pieces. 2 free kicks. Now a corner gone in. And now I can look to rotate some of those players because the fatigue is starting to set in. It was something that I was a little bit concerned about going into this game. It's something I can now kind of respond accordingly to. I'm going to drop Raheem Sterling into centre mid, although he can't actually naturally play there. He's done a job for me there in a few games, so I'll drop him in there. Ozil's going to come off just because he's a little bit tired. Marcelo as well is a little bit on the jaded side, so I'll bring in Gibbs, just kind of preserving the legs of 2 of our key players. So this is going very, very well. Royce, can he score a hat-trick of free kicks? Of course he can. 5-0. Absolutely amazing. A hat-trick of free kicks. 5. I can't quite believe that. That is incredible. Unbelievable. I thought 5-0 against Manchester United, or 5-1 I think it ended earlier on in the season, was not going to be surpassed this year in terms of a result. But to beat Manchester City 5-1, as it's going to be, 5-1 against Manchester clubs, as Di Michaelis gets that goal, is just incredible. That is exactly what we need if we want to win the league. Unfortunately, we can't seem to get these results over Chelsea, but you know what? If we can be as consistent as we have been against the kind of slightly smaller oppositions in terms of grinding out wins, we are going to be on course to win the title in our first season in charge. We've got a chance here. Royce, Sanchez applying some pressure here. Really good to see us pressing high up the park, trying to win the ball. A little bit of space here. Manchester City, I don't think they're going to score 4 in the next few minutes as Sanchez is through again. Can he make it 6? He can't. Joe Hart denies him that chance. What a game this has been. Just a masterclass from Royce to grab us 3 goals from set pieces. We've only had 1 clear-cut chance all game and we've scored 5, which is absolutely incredible. Dzeko here with a chance. He's going to smash that wide and I think that is going to be full-time there. What a performance. I can't quite believe it. That is unbelievable. Royce playing superbly. Raheem Sterling didn't get on the score sheet himself, but 3 assists for him. And what a terrific performance. Exactly what we needed. That does our goal difference over Manchester City a world of good. An 8-goal swing there. And what a second half that was. The players came out. Good team talk. Obviously, that late goal in the first half gave us a little bit of momentum. And then Royce on his right foot, just working some absolute magic. So anyway, fantastic result there. I can't dwell on that too much because we have, of course, got a long way to go in this season, but that is a great way to start off this episode. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you guys the squad, talk about bits as I mentioned. So, looking at our squad, I'll start off by showing you guys just what I consider to be my starting 11, which is If I just quickly load up this best 11, and then a few of the players are out of position for some reason. But this is what I consider to be our best starting lineup. So Szczesny, then a defensive Debuchy, Koscielny, Mertesacker, Marcelo. I've got to be honest, Balanta's kind of fading in and out of my kind of plans. He keeps getting sent off, which is a bit of a pain. He's got 2 red cards already this year. But he's a player who's got loads of room to develop, and he is playing well when he plays and when he's kind of not breaking people's legs and getting sent off for unnecessary yellow cards. You can see him here. So he's a player who's definitely got a lot of potential to improve. You can see if I just show you his career stats. He's played 10 games this year, so he is playing a fair bit of football, and he's performed okay for a player of his calibre. And then, of course, at left-back, we have Marcelo, who's got 5 assists, which is really good. Debuchy in another very similar situation. You know, it's good to see the wing-backs contributing in kind of that regard. Sami Khedira has been a fantastic player for us. His rating doesn't really reflect that, but he has been one of the few constants of our team, a player who's always on the kind of team sheet playing that right centre mid role. You can see an average rating of 7 in the league. What's really impressive though is if you look at his passing completion ratio, it's all above 80% in all competitions. You know, in the league it's 80%, in the cup 88%, in the Champions League 83%. You know, he's that guy who's going to recycle possession, win us the ball, and then spread it to our more creative players and let them work some magic. Next player is Ozil, a player who I got a little bit of flack in the comments for and a little bit of criticism for the fact I wanted to play him as a centre mid on this save. It's a position that he's occupied for the most part. There have been a few exceptions when he's got an opportunity to play higher up the field, but he's performed well in that role. You can see 3 goals and 3 assists and a 7.05 rating. In terms of his assists and his goals, he's not the player who's kind of contributing in that regard week in, week out. Debatably, he'd get more of that if he was playing further up the field. But what he does do is he picks out some really good passes. An 83% pass completion in the centre. He kind of goes about his business very well. You can see his average ratings are absolutely fine just because he's not getting kind of the assists and goals. I think that kind of is a false reading in terms of it looks as if he's not really contributing when in reality him and Khedira in the centre have been absolutely superb this year. Anyway, onto our attacking midfield trio of Sanchez, Sterling, Royce. Kind of cover these guys together, but you can see here between them, they've got a lot of goals, 32 goals to be precise, which is really impressive. Firstly, Sanchez out on the right. The Chilean international had a few injuries which have been a little bit troublesome, but they've not affected his overall attributes too badly. You can see them here. He's a very solid player, great finishing. If we look at his actual stats, you can see them here. He came for 32 million, of course, in real life, and he was one of the few players who I really liked the look of when I came to this Arsenal side. You can see here 8 goals and 7 assists in 13 league games. In the league, he's been absolutely superb when he's played, a 7.73 average rating and 2 man of the matches. Alongside him, of course, in the middle we have Raheem Sterling, probably the pick of the bunch in this squad. A player who, when I signed, again, people in the comments were a little bit dubious about the fact I paid 42.5 million for him. 9 goals and 11 assists, 4 player of the matches, a 7.85 average rating. He's been superb for us in all competitions. You can see his stats here. He's averaging 4 dribbles a game in the league, even more in the European competitions. In Europe, he's playing superbly. 83 pass completion, 7.15 dribbles a game completed. He's done great, and as you can see, he's drawing a lot of fouls in the league, drawing almost 3 a game, which is really good because, as you've seen with Royce, he's incredibly clinical when it comes to his free kick. So Sterling, a very good player, and as I mentioned, he's been shortlisted for the World Golden Ball at the age of 20 as it is now, so that's really impressive. Royce, who, according to my assistant, has the best kind of overall rating in the team, the German left midfielder, left winger, cutting in on his right peg. He's been superb for us. You can see his attributes here. Really well-rounded off player, great physicals. If we look at his career stats, you can see, of course, he joined us for £21 million at the start of the season. He's contributed a lot on the goals front. You don't really get an accurate reflection of that in terms of, because we've not seen today's game continued through, it's not added on those goals. A little bit of a downside perhaps is the fact he's only got 2 assists. He's a player who, unlike Sanchez and perhaps Sterling, who are always being creative, obviously Sanchez is in a situation where he's on the right wing on his right foot, so it's quite easy for him to put in crosses. Very often Marco Reus is cutting in on his right hand side, and so it becomes a little bit more difficult to get a pass inside, and so more often you'll see him pull the trigger when the opportunity arises. Anyway, last and not least, Oliver Giroud, just leading the line, a fantastic player, great in the air, the 18 heading and 17 jumping. really kind of shines in his attributes. He's the player who wins the ball for us, knocks it down for our three kind of energetic players in behind. A 7.23 average rating. Look at his overall stats. His pass completion is a little bit on the low side. Like, it's something that I have been carefully monitoring. I am contemplating moving him from an advanced forward into a target man role. I'm still kind of fiddling around with that a little bit. Looking at his overall stuff, though, 7 goals is not bad by any means in 16 games. It means he'll probably get 14 for the season, which is a pretty decent total generally. Of course, this is the Football Manager beta, and goals seem to be pretty easy to come by right now. But yeah, Royce, top goal scorer with 14 in the squad. You can see that there. Sanchez, Giroud, and of course Sterling all contributing as well really well. And the assists front, Sterling with 15 assists in all competitions has been absolutely incredible. Sanchez has done his job, so's Giroud. Marcelo out on the left has done a nice job on the overlap from Royce, and kind of more than made up for perhaps Royce's lack of assists, which I kind of identified just a second ago. Anyway, in terms of the actual top performers, there's a few kind of oddities here. That's because of one League Cup game where I played a rotated side, but Raheem Sterling leading the way with a 7.63 average rating. You've also got players like Sanchez. Mertesacker done a really good job. When I came to the club, I was a little bit dubious of how useful Mertesacker was going to be. Of course, he's got great defending stats, great aerial, great mentals, but his physicals, particularly his speed, really let him down, and that was a primary concern of mine, but he has certainly forced his way into the first team, and obviously with Balanta kind of getting sent off a little bit too often for my liking, he's found a spot in the first team. Oxlade-Chamberlain, another player who's done really well. He's not got the craziest attributes. If I just quickly compare him with Raheem Sterling, you can see Sterling is probably the better player quite comfortably, to be honest. Obviously they're both young English wingers, and it's quite nice to have a few English players in the squad. He's been performing really well, Oxlade-Chamberlain. He's been a more than adequate replacement for Royce and also Sanchez when they've been injured. You can see 4 goals and 2 assists and a 7.4 average rating, and nothing too shabby about that one bit. And also he's been playing for the England national team, which is really good to see too. A few other players who I've not really talked about too much. Theo Walcott's not really broken into the team since he came back from his injury. Jack Wilshere's one of the few players who's played a fair bit off the bench. A very good player, of course, Jack Wilshere. He fits the system that I play quite nicely. He's been a nice alternative to Ozil when the need be, and he kind of fits quite nicely as an alternative solution down the centre, be it in a kind of deeper midfielder role or in the centre attacking mid role, and now allows a little bit more flexibility in terms of how I can shape up and who plays where. 13 appearances, 6.98 average rating, and not contributed massively, but 3 assists is not too bad at all, and he's done a job for me when he's come on off the bench. So anyway, that's a little bit about the club. In terms of the training at the club, I can show you guys here. Right now, generally quite happy. There's a few unhappy faces. That's due to the workload of the training they're on. Squad fitness, obviously, we have now played like an action-packed kind of schedule, and our players are rather tired. However, with the exception of that, most players are fairly match fit, which is good to see. Anyway, you can see here last match, our focus on attacking set pieces really paid off. Obviously, Ozil got that free kick that he scored, the corner that he scored, and then of course we did score the free kick through Royce. So that's good to see. If we look at our team training, you can see here currently focusing on match fitness. Match tactics is the current thing that we're focusing on. We've got Sunderland, QPR and Hull coming up, so a few nice easy fixtures to maybe extend our lead at the top of the table. In terms of team performances across the board, everyone's performing really well in training, which is good to see. Tielemans, who's one of the players we brought in for 11 million this year, is still on loan at Nottingham Forest. We ended up agreeing to loan him out for a longer period of time to Forest. As you can see, he's not getting the craziest match ratings, but he's playing a fair bit of football for Forest, be it off the bench, which is quite good. You know, any little bit of football that you can get at a competitive level, which is something he's not going to currently get in our side, is going to be great for his development. But overall, you can see here, just in general, players performing very, very well in training. You can see here, looking at Raheem Sterling's kind of report, he's improved a lot as a player, which is nice to be able to see. Bonazzoli, who of course we bought for £1 million and scored a hat-trick in the Capital One Cup, is developing quite nicely too. You can see him here, he's been called up to the Italy under-21 squad, so it's a good sign of progress for him. In terms of our coaching setup, a few people asked me a little while ago, and to be honest it slipped my mind until just now, about how I have my manager profile set up, so we will cover that. If I show you here, you can see my manager stats. So I focused on getting my determination, level of discipline, man management, and motivating at 20 when I started. Adaptability I set to 1 because, of course, I am managing in England. Player knowledge and youngster knowledge were both at 15, I do believe, to begin with, so that's good to see them improving. On the flip side, I made myself an attacking and technique coach, which means I'll be good at coaching both shooting and attacking. And also I've got mental coaching, just because I could have it, really, to be honest. Tactical coaching isn't too bad either. I mentioned a little while ago about me signing a new contract with Arsenal a few episodes ago. As you can see, current contract expires in 2018, which is really, really good. If I show you the board overview here, you can see the job is very secure. The board are very happy with the role that I'm doing at the club. You can see they're absolutely delighted with how we're doing in the Premier League. They're delighted with attacking football, and perhaps most notably, something that's a little bit underrated, I think, in FM, my squad harmony is really high. The overall kind of morale in the camp is very, very positive. Players are incredibly happy to be playing for the club. Obviously, that helps by and large because of the fact that we are doing so well in the league, but it is worth remembering that I am having to rotate the squad quite heavily, and I feel as if my management, if a player has raised a concern about wanting to leave the club, so far we've dealt with it pretty well. So yeah, that's that. In terms of what you can expect in January for the next episode, Theo Walcott may be a player I look to sell. As you can see, there's a club interested in him. He's a player who I'm kind of weighing up selling. I've asked for 33.5 million. I don't know if I'm going to get that much for him, but considering how long he's been out and his wages, he's a player who's quite replaceable, I think, in the team. He's no better than Welbeck. He's no better than Oxlade-Chamberlain. If I just quickly compare him to Sterling, you'll kind of get an idea of Walcott as a player. He has the pace edge on perhaps Sterling and a little bit better finishing, but as overall as a player, Walcott is 25. He's quite injury prone anyway. He's just not good enough for the team, and if I can get anything over £20 million for him, I'm probably going to look to sell him and then reinvest it in some good young players in January. So in terms of where that leads us going into next episode, you'll see that our next kind of few games are fairly easy up until the Chelsea game. I'm not sure if I'm going to commentate that Chelsea game. There is a pretty high chance I will. You may also notice here in the Champions League we've been drawn against Real Madrid. So as a result, I'm probably going to do double header commentaries because we've got Manchester United and Real Madrid together, and we've also got Man City and Real Madrid together. So that kind of works quite nicely for two double header episodes back to back. Anyway, hopefully you guys will join me next time. It may be for the Chelsea game. It may be even further in the future for that Manchester United game. We'll see how things go. If you've enjoyed, as always, guys, smash the like button. If you're new to my channel, like Football Manager 2015 videos, hit subscribe. Go check out some of the videos. There's some useful tips, tricks, and all that good stuff. And other than that, it is me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.